Mindsetters, welcome to today's Maths Literacy Show. Today we have a special revision lesson on Mapwork. We have selected highlights from lessons shown earlier in the term to help you revise. Please post your comments and questions on our Facebook page on facebook.com/learnextra or on Twitter @learnextra so we can help you with your revision. You can also download the notes for today's show from learn.mindset.co.za or click on the link on our Facebook page. Now it's time to get on with today's lesson.
Now, first of all, what we need to say about scale is this. That with scale, we have two types of scales. We have a number scale and we have a bar scale, okay? Or a picture scale. Now, a number scale such as 1 is to 20,000, okay? So this 1 is to 20,000, that's a number scale. In fact, it's not a rocket science at all. A number scale because there are numbers involved. 1 is to 20,000, 20,000, okay? So, number scale such as 1 is to 20,000 means that 1 unit on the map represents 20,000 units in real life. Now, you will notice from the notes that I've produced here that I've underlined the word units. Now, why have I underlined the word units? Every single year, when I teach this section to my grade 10s, to my grade 11s, and to my grade 12s, and obviously understand that we just touch on it in grade 10, we go a little deeper in grade 11, and then we go a lot deeper in it with grade 12, okay? So whether you're grade 10, 11, or 12, and you're watching this program, this is for you. But every single year, irrespective of the grade, when I say the scale is 1 is to 20,000, hands go up. And guys say, sir, 1 watt is equal to 20,000 watt. Is it 1 millimeter represents 20,000 millimeters? Or is it 1 centimeter represents 20,000 centimeters? Could it be 1 meter represents 20,000 meters? Well, guys, here's the truth. It really doesn't matter. As long as the units on the one side is equal to the units on the other side. So that's why I've used the word units. So you could read that as this. The number scale such as 1 millimeter represents 20,000 millimeters means that 1 millimeter on the map represents 20,000 millimeters in real life. You could also read it like this. Number scale such as 1 to 20,000 means that 1 centimeter on the map represents 20,000 centimeters in real life. You could also read it like this. The number scale such as 1 is to 20,000 means that 1 meter on the map represents 20,000 meters in real life. But in reality, we don't normally deal with meters. I mean, a meter is pretty long. And to have a meter this long, length this long on your map, well, that's kind of impractical. Normally, we're dealing with millimeters and centimeters. Okay, now, if I were to be facetious, what's facetious mean? Like almost sarcastic, eh? Right. If I were to be sarcastic, I could even read it like this and say 1 is to 20,000 means that 1, watch this, the length of my tongue, okay, on the map represents 20,000 lengths of my tongue in real life. You see, it doesn't matter on the unit I use. I could even say 1 length of my arm from my, what's this called, an elbow to my, I nearly said ankle, from my elbow to my wrist is equal to 20,000 lengths of my elbow to my wrist in real life, as long as the unit is the same. And that's critical when understanding scale. And if you understand that concept, that the units have to be the same, then it just makes this whole section a lot easier for you. Let's have a look at the next thing. The next thing says these units can be millimeters, centimeters, meters, or kilometers. We've discussed that. But guys, in reality, we would never use kilometers on a map. That is a huge map, impractical, not to be used. And meters, we hardly ever use meters on a map as well. Okay. Now, bar scales are presented as a picture bar. With thus use of a ruler, one can determine how many centimeters or millimeters represents a certain number of kilometers. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, guys, this is called a picture scale, or it's called a bar scale. And you can see you've got the bars represented there. Now, how would I use that? The first thing I do is I take my ruler. And I can see from my graph here, or your bar graph, that from this point through to this point represents what? It represents 60 kilometers. Okay? So that little distance from here to here, it's actually quite a big distance on this map, but from there to there, that represents 60 kilometers in real life. How much or how big is that distance? Well, we take our ruler, guys, and we put our ruler down and say, well, 60, that works out to me anyway about 140 millimeters or 14 centimeters. So for every 14 centimeters on my map, I have 60 kilometers in real life. Do you understand that? Okay. So if I were to say I'm traveling a distance of 120 kilometers, well, I know that 60 kilometers is 14 centimeters. So 120 kilometers would be 28 centimeters. So the distance, that distance, from the side of the ruler to where my finger is over here would represent, what did we say? 120 kilometers. Okay. So that, guys, is my bar scale or my picture scale. Now, remember, and this is important, when maps change size, the number scale is, this says the number scale, shouldn't be the number scale, should be the bar scales. That's bad. The bar scale is badly affected. Right. What do we mean by that? I want you to look on the screen. You can see I've got this diagram and I've got this diagram, and they're exactly the same except one is an enlargement of the other. Okay? So we've got a bar scale and then we've got a big bar scale. But I want us to have a look here and see what's happened. Can you see that in our word, we're saying 1 unit on the map represents, what does it represent? 7,562,580 units in real life. Here, the number scale is saying exactly the same thing. That 1 unit on the map represents 7,562,580 units in real life. Okay? But, look here. Guys, when I measure this, I'm landing up 10 centimeters represents 60 kilometers. Over here, I'm telling you that 15 centimeters represents 60 kilometers. Now something's wrong, because initially I'm telling you that that distance represents 60 kilometers. Then later on I'm telling you that this distance represents 60 kilometers. At the same time, my number scale is staying the same. Now guys, what I need to tell you is this. The more accurate scale would be my bar scale. Okay. Why would it be my bar scale? It would be my bar scale because, and because of that, sorry, I've messed up here. Oh my goodness, this is not a good day. I think I actually need James today, don't I? Okay. It would be the number scale is badly affected. Okay. It is the number scale because the bar scale is perfect. Even though it's changed, because what would happen is as I increase the size of the map, so the bar scale would increase as well. But the number scale stays the same. Now guys, if I've got a map this big of an area, and I have that same area in a map that big, guys, that distance on that tiny little map can't represent the same on that big map. Okay? So as my maps increase, so my bar scale is going to increase. As my map decreases, so my bar scale is going to decrease. The numbers, though, don't change. They stay the same numeric value, which is kind of a problem. So if you get a map and one's big and one's small, and they've got the same number scale, but the bar scales are slightly different, go with the bar scale, because as the map increased, so did the bar scale. Let's have a look at this. In which direction would you be facing if you rotate 270 degrees clockwise from northeast? Yes. Okay. Now, gentlemen, to do this, we've got to have some form of understanding of how big and how small angles are. So were I to give you a straight line, okay, and I said, right, we have a straight line. I know that this distance from that point to that point in degrees is 180 degrees. I know that the distance between these 2 points, that point and that point, in the form of degrees, is 90 degrees. And I can also presume that the distance between these two must be 45 degrees. Now, let's have a look at 270 degrees. How do we make up 270 degrees? Well, 270 degrees is going to be 180 degrees plus 90 degrees. If we add that up, we're going to land up with 270 degrees. So my starting point is northeast. I'm going to get a different color here. Let's go for purple or pink. Why? Just because I want to. Okay, so we're starting at this point here. We want to go clockwise. Now, guys, in the good old days, you used to have a clock face on your wrist. Okay? Nowadays, I think everyone goes digital. Or you pull out your cell phone and you check your time. That's what I do. That's why I don't have a watch anymore. And I really miss my watch. In fact, I'm going to go buy myself a watch. But a watch is kind of nice. In the good old days, your hand or your second hand used to go tick, 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 tick. I could be here all day, but I'll just do it once or twice more. Tick, tick. Okay, so going in this direction is what we call clockwise. Okay, clockwise. Going in the other direction, so going this way, we call anti-clockwise. Now, we want to go clockwise. Because we want to go clockwise, I know I'm going to go in this direction over here. Now, going in that direction, I want to go 270. So I want to go a full 180. So I'm going a full 80 plus another 90. Can you see this 90 degree? Plus a 90 degree. So if I'm facing northeast and I turn 180 and another 90, where am I facing? I'm facing northwest. So my answer here is I will now be facing a northwesterly direction. Let's have a look at another one. 315 degrees anti-clockwise from east. So now what's happening, let me just rub all this other stuff out so you can see exactly what I'm doing here now. So let's just get rid of all that and a little bit of that. Cool, going well, and let's just get our white pen again. We said this was northeast, this was my east, and this was my northwest. Okay, so let's have a look. We're using pink. I'm starting at east. I'm going anti-clockwise, which means I'm going in this direction. I want to make up 315 degrees. Chaps, that means I've got 180 degrees and 90 degrees, which we said makes 270. If I add another 90 degrees, I'm going to land up with what? 0, 16, 360, which is kind of problematic. Okay. So we don't want 360, we want what do we want? 315. So if I now decide, okay, let's not add 90, but what we instead are going to add is we are going to add 45 degrees. Okay? So if I now add 45 degrees, I'm going to land up with 315. So I need a 180. If I start at east and I go 180, I end at west. Then I find another 90 degrees. Another 90 degrees, there it is, there takes me to south. I now add another 45 degrees, which is half a 90, which takes me to southeast. So my answer for that will be I'll be facing in a southeasterly direction.
Okay, guys, I hope you're enjoying this revision session. If you need help, remember to post on the page or send an email to helpdesk@learnextra.co.za. Now it's time to take a quick break, but don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We have some great news to pass on to you. We will be bringing you winter school from the 30th of June till the 20th of July, starting at 10 a.m. every weekday. To get the full schedule, visit our website, learn.mindset.co.za, and look for the winter school link. Join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. But now it's time to get back to the lesson.
Now we start with the real nitty-gritty stuff. Consider a map with a scale of 1 is to 250,000. What does this scale mean, or what does it indicate? Now, we spoke about this before the ad break, and I said to you that when I've got figures of 1 is to 250,000, it means 1 unit on my map represents 250,000 units in real life. What are the units? It doesn't matter. We could say 1 millimeter on my map represents 250,000 millimeters in real life. 1 centimeter on the map represents 250,000 centimeters in real life. Okay. Now you'll notice I'm using two different words here. I'm throwing them around. I'm saying map, and I'm using the term real life. Map, real life. Now, my students, if you were watching, you'd probably be rolling your eyes and thinking, oh, here we go again. Map, real life. Map, real life. Because in this section, I tell you what, if my guys don't write map, real life, and I'll show you how you got to write it, I just kind of lose self-control. Okay? You have got to remember the words map, real life. Because if you remember map and real life, and then also remember that units could be millimeters, centimeters, you can do anything with this section. What do I mean by that? Let's have a look at this first question. On the map, I have 35 centimeters. How many kilometers is that in real life? Okay, so the first thing is this: I've got a map, and I've got the real life world out there. So I'm going to write that down. I'm going to say, Peter, you have the map and you have real life. We are working with the scale of 1 unit on the map represents 250,000 units in real life. Okay. But I don't want to know 1 unit on the map. I've got 35 centimeters. So I want this to be 35 centimeters, not 1. Now, how did I get that 1 to become 35 centimeters? How did I get that 1 to become 35 centimeters? I multiplied it. And so let's do that. We are going to say, to get that to there, we're going to multiply by 35 centimeters. Right. And guys, life is fair. Not always, but in math, it's always fair. And what we do to the one side, we've got to do to the other side. Okay. Ibrahim, are you an only child?
No.
Do you have another brother or so?
Yes.
Okay, cool. How would you feel, Ibrahim, if your parents had come to you? What's your brother's name?
Kolani.
Of course, it would be that. All right. If your brothers came, or if your parents
Kolani
came,
and Isaac.
okay, we'll go Isaac. If your, because I haven't got the click yet. It's kind of my tongue and my palate don't work together. All right. So how would you feel if your parents went to Isaac and said, Isaac, we are giving you 1,000 rand. Okay? How would you feel?
What about me?
What about absolutely? Okay. And well within your rights because you are one of the children. Okay? So your parents say to your brother, Isaac, 1,000 rand. They then say to your other brother,
Kolani.
Kulani? Kulani. Okay, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Kulani, 1,000 rand. Okay. And within you, Abraham, there's an excitement. Okay, why? Because you know, because your brother's got something, you're also going to get that.
Exactly.
Okay. So that excitement begins to build up. And then your parents say, that's it, folks, we just wanted you to know that. And they walk out the room. Okay? How are you going to feel?
No, I won't like that.
Okay, you're going to be totally
Especially as the last born, no.
Absolutely.
No.
All right. You're going to
I
be...
deserve something too.
And rightfully so. And if your parents are fair, what they do to the one son, they'll do to the other child. Okay?
Though it's
My
not
mom
always
and dad used to believe that as well. If we hit the one child, we hit the other.
No,
which is kind of unfair, but that's another story. Okay, so to get 35 multiplied by 35 centimeters. We've done something this side, folk. Because we've done something this side, we're now going to do the same thing the other side. Right. So we're going to now multiply by 35 centimeters as well. Right. And when I say we're going to multiply, I don't really mean we're going to multiply. I mean the calculator's going to multiply. So let's do that. Out comes our calculator, and we say, right, we've got 250,000. We're going to multiply that by 35, and we get an answer of, and I always forget these things, so you've got to help me and remember this, 8,750,000. That should be easy to remember, okay? Equals 8,750,000 centimeters, okay? Take note of our units, guys. To get 1 to 35 centimeters, we multiplied by 35 centimeters. So we had to multiply by 35 centimeters on the other side, and so our unit is in centimeters. So we know that 35 centimeters on the map. So if I got my ruler and I measured 35, okay, that's 30 plus a little bit more. Here I've got another ruler. I'm really organized tonight, eh? It's quite scary. So here we go from this side all the way through to 5. It would be nice if I could see that. All from where this finger starts all the way through to this side over here, that's 35 centimeters. That distance on my map represents 8,750,000 centimeters in real life, out there in the world. Okay, so we've answered the question. Actually, we haven't, okay, because the question said 35 centimeters is equal to how many kilometers? Now, folk, whether we like this or not, right? This is something you've just got to know, you've got to learn, and you've got to know it off by heart. You have got to know how many millimeters there are in a centimeter. You've got to know how many centimeters there are in a meter. You've got to know how many meters there are in a kilometer. Guys, you just got to know that, all right? So tonight, when you go to bed, and you've done everything you have to do, like brush your teeth, kiss your folks goodnight, give everyone a hug, say your prayers, get into bed and say, there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. There are 100 centimeters in a meter. And there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. Good night and go to sleep. I think that's a great way to go to sleep.
If I was the mindsetter, I was going to record that.
You were going to quote that. Okay. And here's the exciting thing. You can actually cheat in an exam. Ooh, that's bad, but it's true. You just take your ruler, guys, and you look at your ruler, and you see that's 1 centimeter. And in that one little, in fact, let me come up close. Okay, the producer's going to talk to me and tell me when I must stop. Okay, because I hope you're focusing on the ruler, not my face. Okay, so there we go. Now, if you look carefully, you can see that that's going to be 1 centimeter from a millimeter. But you can count little millimeters inside that 1 centimeter. And they're actually 10. Okay. If we flip the ruler around, we can see that distance is 1 centimeter. And we flip it around again, and we see that it also equals 10 millimeters. In other words, guys, we are telling you 10 millimeters and 1 centimeter. Your ruler's telling you that. And the exciting thing is you're allowed to take a ruler into the exam. So it's not kind of cheating, but it's such a pleasure to know that. The other thing is this, you know that a ruler, if you take 3 rulers and a little bit more, you get a meter. So if you got 30 centimeters, 30 centimeters, 30 centimeters, and a little bit more, which is another 10 centimeters, you make up a meter ruler, okay, or a meter. So you know 100 centimeters make up a meter. And another way to remember it is this, that when I jump from millimeters to centimeters, oops, what on earth did I do there? Here we go, okay. From millimeters to centimeters is a jump of 10. From centimeters to meters is a jump of 100. And from meters to kilometers is a jump of 1,000. Okay, so you can see it's getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. Right. And with my boys that I teach, and I teach boys, that's why I'm saying boys, but even if I had to teach girls, I would always say this. Just remember, 10, 100, 1,000. And if you got that in mind, you can do absolutely anything. Now, I know it's almost time for an ad break, but I just want to finish this quickly. Now, how we want to change centimeters to kilometers, right? So we know we've got to get smaller because there are fewer kilometers in a centimeter. Right, so here we go. Centimeters. From centimeters to kilometers, there's 100,000. So we're going to take this horrible figure here of 8,750,000 and we're going to divide it by the 100 and divide it by the 1,000. So again, I'm not going to confuse my brain. I'm going to do it on the calculator. Divide it by 100 divided by 1,000 equals, voila, here's my answer. It is 87,5. So I know there are 87,5 kilometers represented out there in the big, wild, ugly world. 87,5 kilometers out there can be represented by 35 centimeters on my map. So that distance on my map represents 87,5 kilometers out there in the big wide world. Guys, here behind me I've got a wonderful map, and the map is showing a little bit here of Port St. John's, East London area, Port Elizabeth, all the Eastern Cape, and it goes on to show a little bit of Lesotho and a little bit, of course, as well of the Free State. You can see Bloemfontein up on the top center of the screen. Okay, I feel a little bit like a weatherman doing this. Don't
Yeah.
I? You know, all I need to do is say, and there's a cold front coming on this side, and then it will go perfectly. All right, but that's a story for another day. Let's get on. Now, looking at this map, the most important thing about this map that I want you to take note of is this thing over here, folk. Okay, let's just go up slightly. There it is. Okay, can you see that? I don't know if you can see the white very clearly, but you can see that they are saying a certain length on that map represents 100 kilometers in real life. Okay, so now what's the first thing we do when we're dealing with scale? We write down 2 words: map, real life. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, right, I've got the map and I've got real life. And unfortunately, my producer hasn't left me very much room here, so I'm going to try squeeze it in. Map, real life. Now, on the map, I know when I take my ruler and I measure this distance, I'm getting a distance of about 90 centimeters. Okay, not 90 centimeters, sorry, 90 millimeters. Let me just try and get that. 95 millimeters. So I know 95 millimeters on my map represents 100 kilometers in real life. Okay, I'm just double checking myself here. Yep, 95 millimeters represents 100 kilometers in real life. That means, guys, that for every distance, this amount of distance, okay, if I were to measure that on a map and then go out in real life, it would mean I would have to walk 100 kilometers to cover that distance, which is symbolized on the map. Okay, now do we understand that? Now let's have a look at the question. The question was this. In the good old days, SAA, which stands for South African Airways, used to fly from Durban to East London to Port Elizabeth and then on to Cape Town, instead of flying directly from Durban to Cape Town. How far would the plane fly between East London and Port Elizabeth? Okay, guys, so I remember as a little kid getting on an aeroplane and going from Durban all the way through to Cape Town. And the flight didn't go directly. You used to take off, have a cup of tea, swallow a biscuit, and land in East London. Then people would get off, other people would get on, you take off, have a cup of tea, have a few biscuits, and land in Port Elizabeth. People would get off, other people would get on, you take off, have a cup of tea. No, you'd now have a cup of coffee because you were sick and tired of tea. You'd already had 2 cups. So you'd have a cup of coffee, have 3 more biscuits because the air hostess got to know you and she thought you were cute. So you'd have 3 biscuits and then land in Cape Town. Right. So the question now is this. How far would the plane fly between East London and Port Elizabeth? So here's East London. Let's get, here's East London over here. And here's Port Elizabeth over there. So first thing we've got to do is be able to measure how far that distance is on the map. So when I put my ruler down and measure across, I get a distance of 22 centimeters, okay, or 220 millimeters. Now guys, I'm really going to try and fit this in here. In fact, let me go all the way down here. Okay, so we said, let me just extend this, we've got the map, and we've got real life. We said, according to our map, 95 millimeters represents 100 kilometers. When we measured this distance, we got 220 millimeters. And we want to work out how far is that in real life. Now, guys, one of the magic things about doing this whole scale is always to work with what I call a magic number, and that's the number 1. So before I find out what 220 is, I want to find out how far is 1 millimeter. Now, how did I get that 95 to become 1? I divide it by 95. And I'm going to do the same this side. I'm going to divide by 95. So I've got 100 divided by 95. Now I don't want 1, I want 220. How do I get the 1 to become 220? I multiply by 220. And I'm going to do the exact same thing this side. Multiply by 220. So I've got 100 over 95 times 220. And that'll tell me how many kilometers this plane is actually flying from East London to Port Elizabeth. Okay, out comes my calculator because I'm not going to do this in my head. I've got fraction button, 95 over 100. No, I don't. What do I have? I have 100 over 95. Okay, let's start that again. I've got 100 over 95, and I'm going to multiply this by 220 equals, and my answer works out to being 231,58. 231,58 kilometers. Okay, now I know what a lot of people are saying out there. They're saying, hold on, I've traveled between East London and Port Elizabeth, and it's further than 231 kilometers. And you're absolutely right. But remember, when you travel there with a car, your car does windy things along the road. Okay? A car doesn't just say, right, here I am in East London, I'm going to Port Elizabeth, let's go in a straight line, doof, doof, over mountains and things. Well, my mother-in-law does that, but the normal human being doesn't do that, okay? You follow the road. Right. But an aeroplane takes off, let's head off that direction. When you get an aeroplane, it doesn't do like dum and then dum, and it doesn't do that. It just goes straight. Just before landing, it might turn to correct itself and get it ready for the airport. But when you're flying, straight line. Okay, and that's why this distance works out to 231,58 kilometers.
I think it's time for a break now. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. Let's not waste any time and get straight back to today's revision lesson. Over to you.
One of the maps we also have to do has got nothing to do with the actual street map or road map. It's looking at the map layout of certain things like cinemas or huge big stadiums. Okay, where will I sit? They could also ask you a question about an aeroplane, where they show you the seat layout of an aeroplane. And now you decide, oh, I'd like to sit on that seat. Why? Because it's close to the loo. Or, gee, I'd love to sit on this seat. Why? Because it's on the wing. Okay? And they always say that's the strongest part of the plane, don't they? Okay? And the most steadiest, because the wing and everything revolves around. So if you hit a lot of turbulence, that I might be talking a load of rubbish, but I like to believe that, so I go for the wing. Okay? The back is like, wee, and the front is, but okay. So, here now we have a question, and it's looking at the seating plan of a cinema. Right. So there's my cinema, and we've all been to cinemas, a movie, okay? And as you walk in, gee, there are just seats everywhere. Now, normally when you walk in, they give you a ticket, and the ticket says seat number C42. And we've got to be able to find that seat number C42. So it's a very basic concept, a small grade 10 or a paper 1 type question, very basic, no tricks involved at all. Don't you hate it when you go to a movie and you're about to go in and someone's sitting on your seat?
Yes, so that's irritating.
It's so irritating, because then you've got to say, excuse me, you're sitting in my seat. Okay? And they say, no, I'm not. You say, yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Just show me your ticket. You see, you're supposed to be that side, you know. And they, oh, sorry. And then everyone, oh, it's terrible. That's why when I go to a movie, I like to get there early.
Yeah.
So I can sit down and know, this is my seat, boy. Don't come anywhere near me. All right, so here we go. Cinema, there it is. There's the screen. Now what we're going to do is this. How many seats are in the cinema? Okay. So to calculate the seats, we can do one of two things, folks. Either we can sit there painfully and count every single dot, or we can use a little bit of mathematics. Now, Looney, you're going to help me here.
Mm-hmm.
How many seats across are there?
14.
They're 14. Okay, folk, I don't know if you can see that on your screen because I know it's very light. So I've got 14 seats across. How many down? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14. And we know that because A to N is 13, but there's a double A row.
Yes.
Okay? So that times 14.
Yes.
Can you tell me, why do you think there's a double A row? Why didn't they make that A, then the next one B, the next one C? Why do you think that could have happened?
Double A. I don't know.
You know, I was trying to think of that, and I couldn't think of a reason. The only thing I possibly could imagine is that they built the cinema and realized, just like Oaks, we can fit another row in here, but we've already numbered everything A, B, C.
Okay.
Let's just call this row AA. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. If you're out there and you know exactly why the first row in this particular cinema is called AA, let us know. But they're not all like that, hey? Normally, it's A, B, C, D kind of thing. Okay, so how many seats are there? Well, there's 14 times 14. And taking out our calculator, we are going to say, right, 14 multiplied by 14 gives me an answer of 196. So I know this cinema has 196 seats. The next one. Which row is furthest from the screen? And that's straightforward. If that's the screen, that's the row that's furthest away. And it's row N. Okay. That's kind of important to know, hey? Especially for you guys out there that are going on a date and you want to sit in a back row of the movie. It would be horrendous if you went to row AA thinking it was at the back. And you got to that row and wow, there was a screen and everyone was watching the two of you in front there. Okay. I remember once going to a movie and it was reversed the other way. Okay. Where the A row was at the back and the N row was right in front. Why they did that, I have no idea. And the woman said, in any particular seat, she was a really friendly one, any particular seat. I said, yes, please, row N. And I said that proudly, hey? And there my wife and I were like, screen here, we couldn't see the whole screen. It was huge, absolutely. Have you ever seen a guy's nose so close up and so big? You see everything, it's grotesque. Okay, so that's the number of seats in row, the row right at the back. Now my next question that they ask us is this. List the seat numbers of seats A to E shown on the seating plan. Okay, so row A. What is row A? Well, we know it's, or seat A rather, is row AA number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's AA8. So if I'm seated over here, what's my ticket got to say? It's got to say AA8. That's it. Go away. Right. Next one. B. B is F. So if I'm sitting at spot B, I'm in row F, seat number 1, 2, 3, 4. C means I'm in row number L, and seat number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And finally, D seat means I'm in row N, and seat number 2. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of all these markings. And you'll know exactly why just now, because I need to show some markings on here for my next question. Okay, here we go. Now, the next question states this. You want to go to a movie with 3 friends. Do you have 3 friends?
Yeah.
Oh, more than I do. Okay, cool. So you go to a movie with 3 friends. You get to the cinema late, so seats are limited. You are given the following 3 options. Option 1, seat D1, C2, C1, C2, C3. Okay? Let's mark that down. D1, so it's this seat over here, or that seat, and that seat. That's one of the options. Okay? You get given another option, so I'm going to choose another color. I'm going to go for white. The other option is this. M14, M13, F5, F6. You remember the F5, F6. I'll remember the M13, M14.
Okay.
So M13 and M14. And what was yours?
F5, F6.
F5 and F6. Cool? So you've got the pink option or you've got the white option.
Okay.
Right. Let's find another color. Let's go green. So our last option is this. A11, A13, sorry, AA11, AA13, AA15, and A12.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the
12 and
A12.
15.
Okay, so
Oh, okay.
11, 13, and 15.
15.
Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, and then they also said 15.
15.
Oh, great. That's like sitting on the aisle. Okay, I wouldn't choose that option at all. And what was your seat number?
A12.
A12. Okay, so A12 is going to be this guy over here. Sorry. Let's get rid of that guy. Little rubber. There we go. Cool. So, looking at that, I need to ask you, Looney, which option would you like? The pink option, the white option, or the green option?
The pink option.
Pink option. Why the
Yes.
pink option?
Because you guys are sitting closer together. Like, one is just at the back, so you can still, like, go, hey, friend. Like, you can still talk. But the others are scattered, so you can't exactly communicate. And the last one, like, there's not
Yeah,
even
there's
a
no seat there, so I wouldn't even go for that option.
Yeah.
I agree. Right, guys, the exciting thing is this. There's no right or wrong answer, as long as you can give a good explanation. So you like this over here.
Yes.
Now, personally, I don't like that. Personally, I like this, and I'll tell you why. Because if that happened to me, I'd be the poor little boy all by himself at the back, because
No.
nobody loves me.
No, but
Okay.
you must have an understanding with your friends. Like, you can still talk to them and be like, hey.
But here, there are two guys next to each other.
No,
Yeah,
it's
two next.
too
But do you
separated.
understand? This is quite exciting because you've got an idea, I've got an idea, and you
Yeah.
know what? If the examiner asks me that in exam, he cannot mark me wrong because we're allowed our opinion here. Okay. Lovely map behind us. Very busy, but a great, great map to look at. Now, this could come into a paper 1 type question. Let's have a look at it. Consider the map below, which shows a portion of Europe. There it is. You can see France, Germany, Prague, Czechoslovakia, Poland, Austria, Hungary, Italy. Right, let's read the questions. Which sea is to the west of Italy? Now remember that in a paper 1, an examiner can start with very basic questions just to make sure you're understanding the layout of the map. They're also trying to find out, do you know your different directions? Please understand this comes from a paper 1, so they are basic questions. Okay, so here we go. Which sea is to the west of Italy? First thing we need to do is find Italy. Here's Italy over here, the sea to the west. Now we know our directions, north, this is west, this is east, and our south is at the bottom. So we want to know what sea's to the west, and there it is there, the Ligurian Sea. Next question. What separates the United Kingdom and France? The United Kingdom and France, there's the United Kingdom. Here is France over here. What separates it? It's the English Channel. Okay, very straightforward questions this, guys. The examiner's actually forcing you just to take note of the map. Okay, now, the capital of each country is indicated with a star. What's the capital of Poland? Here's Poland over here. My capital has got a little star, and it's the country of Warsaw. Okay, now, next question. Of which country is Budapest the capital? Now we've got to find the actual capital. You notice the difference between those two questions. The one question was they gave you the country and said, hey, what's the capital? Now they're giving you the capital and saying, hey, what's the country? So, Budapest, where is Budapest? I should be able to pick it up straight away because I've been there. It is. Here it is there, Budapest, and the country is Hungary. Absolutely. Talking of Hungary, what's for supper tonight?
I don't know.
Because the producers are always eating and we just let them. Okay, next one. In which direction? Now this is an interesting question. Okay. In fact, let's first do this one. Which country is north of Slovenia? So country north of Slovenia. Where is Slovenia? Let's look for it. Don't call it Slovakia. That's Slovakia. Okay. Slovenia is over here. Which country is to the north of it? Austria. Okay. Next question. Now, which direction does the Seine River in France flow? Okay, so a lot of guys will look at that and say, well, first of all, let's just find the river, and let's find it. Here it is over here. I'm going to do it in yellow on this map. That's the river over there. Now, you look at that and you say to yourself, myself, which direction is this river flowing? Now, folk, it can flow one of two ways. Either we're going that way, okay, oops, what on earth happened there? Or we're going this way. Now, if we're going that way, folk, we will be traveling in a northwesterly direction. If we're traveling this way, we're going to be traveling in a southeasterly direction. So, let's see if Looney is focused here tonight. Looney,
Hi.
here's my river. Do you think it's flowing in a northwest direction or is it flowing in a southeasterly direction?
Southeast.
Southeasterly, absolutely wrong, hey? Why? Because a river goes where? To the sea. Okay, so here is the sea, so it's flowing towards the English Channel.
Okay.
Right. Now I know what you're thinking, and my producer just said in my ear that makes no sense because it means it's flowing down, flowing upwards. It's not flowing upwards. Here it's very high, and so just because the map looks like it doesn't mean it's flowing up. Okay. This is where we need an elevation map, don't we? Where you
Okay.
can see how high the mountains are and where the sea is, and that the river will be flowing down. Okay.
We've come to the end of today's show. Thanks for joining me and for chatting to me during the show. Remember to visit our website, learn.mindset.co.za, to get the notes and to watch the videos from the term. Goodbye.